ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, TheScoreEsports.com, G2A, NVIDIA, and ESEA.
Welcome back to ESL Pro League. We've gotten through the first two matches where both 16-1 victories for Team Liquid over Kona. Now we're going to move on to a pretty exciting matchup, actually. Luminosity versus Renegades is going to be the next matchup. It's going to be on Train as this, but you know, as we go on through the evening, make sure you're keeping track of the schedule. Make sure you're tuning into the matches that you want using the Score Esports app. You can get that through Google Play or the App Store for your mobile devices. You can also check out statistics and articles that they release periodically. But now let's get into this. The major winners, Luminosity, they cooled off a little bit at Malmo. Maybe a little bit of that major hangover factoring in. But we also have Renegades, who, this is an interesting note. I just saw the tweet before we kind of came back to live, was that you know, one of the Australian casters, actually, PK, is going to be coaching them. Now this is a team that Sponges, I think he's been pretty vocal about it on social media. Or I know, at least when speaking to him at events, he's talked very much about wanting to get a coach into the mix with Renegades, and he's finally got one. A guy who watches a lot of Counter-Strike and knows the Australian scene very well, and more than likely keeps track of international events also, I would assume. So he's got a little bit of help now. So Sponge is a tactician. He's got some people to help watch some demos, come up with some ideas, come up with some analysis, and ways to improve this team moving forward.
So, of course, this is definitely going to be the tougher match for the Renegades because they are in one of the tougher positions to qualify to be in the top 4. Currently sitting, as you can see on your screen now, at an 11-7 records, whereas Luminosity is the safest out of all the 7 teams competing. They're 14-4, and they are actually the only team that can completely outreach all of the others. If they win 3 out of 4 of their remaining matches, then there is a 100% chance that they will be taking the first seed from North America anyway, heading into the LAN finals. But they're going to need to do that tonight. And it's going to be against the Renegades, who are fighting for their tournament live, because losing just this one single set could potentially knock them out of the top 4 completely. Yeah, also, we could touch a little bit on, this is actually a little bit of a scary game for Renegades, because some of their players did just land today from traveling from Australia. So there's the whole jet lag thing, there's the whole, I mean, just flat out getting off the plane and going straight into a match. That's a tough thing to do. So it'll be interesting to see what form they come in. They have a lot of talent on this team, obviously. We talk about JKS, Azur, these guys are big impact players. So hopefully see some cool things out of them, but it is a tall task against Luminosity. Although we do see more so Luminosity struggling at times in the regular season online. I know some of their seasons in the past haven't been as dominant as people thought they would be, but they've firmly established themselves as one of the best 3 teams in the world. Yeah, both of their actual remaining matches are going to be against teams that are like fighting for survival. I think they have this one, and then their other one, if I remember correctly, is against Selfless, who in the past has actually managed to beat them in a best-of-3 set, and that was not that long ago. I think it was like 2 or 3 months ago that set happened. So we've already seen that in the past, and Selfless is another team that's on the rise, so they themselves need to be a little bit careful here and make sure they win this match. It's a very high-stakes one for both of the teams that are participating here. Yeah, they're not out of the woods yet, so very, very, very crucial. This is a map that actually that Luminosity has been good on, though. I mean, this is a map that, you know, even before the roster changes that brought in more talent, they've been able to compete with top teams on. And it's become, I mean, obviously it's a very strategic map, and they're one of the teams like Na'Vi who can put up rounds on the T side, which is where you normally see the struggles come into play. The big 2 players you're going to want to look out for on this map, in my opinion, are Yam and Azur. We saw Azur step up a little bit more towards the mid-season, but we saw him step up a lot, specifically on this map. He's actually been like an absolute monster on the T side for this team. Definitely a big impactor. And then Yam had that one game right at the beginning of the season, dropped off a little bit since then, but one game where he almost single-handedly carried his team. Are you still riding on that one game? Because we've seen Yam struggle a little bit on this map since then. Yeah, but we have also seen him kick some ass in this map, so... That one time. There's been, you know, I mean, there's been games where he's done perfectly fine, too. Yeah. Like, just, you know, like an average little performance, but definitely still a player to keep an eye on. I'm not saying he's going to be amazing, just saying keep an eye on him. This is actually a map that plays to his strengths as an opper, and I brought it up a couple times. His style of opping, he really likes getting into choke points very quickly, taking some of those pre-fire shots towards their opposing team's choke points. 2-1 on the season on this map for Luminosity. No reason not to list coldzera as the player to watch for them. 3-1 for Renegades on the season, so no slouches on Train. This is shaping up to be a very good match, and Azur, as you mentioned, very, very strong player in general, but also on this map, seems to have a good amount of success on it pretty frequently.
So it will be very, very cool to see. I'm interested to see, I don't know how much time PK as the coach has had with Renegades, but I am interested to see what kind of level they're going to come into this at. I would highly doubt we see anything like revolutionary or new in how they play the map quite this soon with the coach in, but those will be changes. It'll be fun to like watch this and get a baseline to see what changes come in the future.
That's another interesting note, though, when you think that they're just coming back and they're just now bringing a new coach in. That's immediate pressure being tossed on for PK in that, okay, this is our first match you're going to be with us for. And by the way, if we lose this match, we're probably out of the running for a LAN final.
We essentially have to win everything.
Don't screw up.
Yeah. That would be cool. And I maybe try and have a conversation with him, figure out how much involvement he's going to have in calling and everything like that moving forward. But this also, I mean, it brings up that whole conversation as well of how much does Sponge going to have to call now? If PK is going to take over some of those duties, does it free him up to be a little bit more of an impact player? Because we do see there are matches, like once in a while, Sponge is one of those players that has a very, very strong game and he just entries and he just is one of those guys who just wills his team to win a very important round. It doesn't happen as often as you'd obviously like, but we have seen him do it in the past. So if he's allowed to open up, have a little bit more freedom in his game style, have a little bit more impact as a player to make the plays he wants, all of a sudden that could bode much, much better for this team.
We've seen players like this have it happen to them in the past too. Like one example we look towards is Nothing to a certain degree. When he got some assistance with the calling, I think it was a month or two back when Stu was helping him out, we saw an immediate performance just on his own personal end there. So if we could see that from Sponge too.
Well, now he's got some more assistance now, bringing in Slemmy to be the in-game leader for the team. So that'll be interesting to watch.
Interesting. Very, very choice word for that.
I'm excited for it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you still a fan of C9? Do you have hope, or have you abandoned it?
I'm always a fan, but I have always abandoned hope from here on out. My soul has been crushed. It's dark, depressing days here in North America at times. But yeah, that's another change. I mean, there's a lot of Counter-Strike news coming out lately with this roster change. I mean, that's big for Slemmy to come in. And despite whatever, I mean, I don't really know too much. I know I played against him, a few seasons back when I was still competing, but don't really know too much about him as an in-game leader. I know a lot of North American players, from Elige. I think I saw Automatic from TSM tweeting about it as well, giving him a lot of support, giving him a lot of respect as an in-game leader. So those are guys that have far more experience competing against him as an in-game leader than I do, especially recently. So if he's got that kind of support, you got to expect that he's going to bring something into that Cloud9 team. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, if we look at, I'm not 100% sure how long, because he's coming in from the Obey roster, and I think it might be ex-Obey. He's coming in from that roster, and if I remember correctly, I think that was the team that managed to beat out Selfless to make it into the ECS. And then not only this too, but if we go back to the minor, I think they did pretty well there. I think they placed like 3rd or 4th at that event.
Yes, they had that, who was that player? DSR was
Breezy was another one too. That was pretty good.
They were pretty solid players. So that'll be that's cool to kind of see a new roster come up like that. Hopefully, I mean, you got to imagine losing your in-game leader is going to affect you a little bit, but hopefully they can get past that and kind of make continue having some good runs that we see out of them. But we are live into the ninth round, as you can see. We're going to get this one going. Luminosity, the Brazilians who came over a few seasons back, and then Renegades who came over to the States as well, living in Vegas. So 2 of the transplants coming over from the smaller communities to try and have a big impact here and playing at the highest level in North America.
We'll be getting into it immediately, guys. Luminosity Gaming starting off on the CT side with the Renegades jumping onto the Terrorist team. We'll be getting into the first half now, and we'll take a look. This match meaning so much for both of these teams. The first one that really decides a lot here within the top 7, still vying for control of the North American slots heading in to the UK finals. So let's get to it.
No utility, but Fallen has a smoke and a diffuse kit to be able to utilize. Aggressive towards mid is Fur and FNX. Smoke goes down to the ladder room to provide them a little bit of cover, and it looks like they want to push in and gain control of this right off the bat. So staying aggressive, but it looks like Fur is just going to stop here and have this angle. FNX is there to back him up. If he gets into a fight, he needs to fall back, but Fur's going to keep pushing forward. He's going to try and find something. He does spot out Sponge. Takes a little bit of damage, but that early pressure from Luminosity is forced back by Renegades. A minute and a half just underneath it left in the round.
Get that little bit of intel too, but for the most part, Renegades still very controlled with that. Sitting back in their positions now, still ready to go for the take. As they wait for the timer to run down just a little bit more here, hoping to catch some extra aggression from Luminosity since they did spot Fur pushing up, but it's not the case. Most of Luminosity, after spotting Sponge up on top of the dumpster, it looks like they're going to be sitting safely much further back on that A bomb set, getting ready for a default type of push.
Yeah, and they have to remain in a default stance themselves because no one else has spotted anything. Renegades hasn't given up any of the game. Cold hasn't spotted anything out towards Ivy. Ever since that first aggression, nothing's been spotting mid, and even Fallen and Taco, 2 players towards the inner bomb site for Luminosity, just staying honest, and it looks like that's where Renegades wants to take over. This clock has run down very, very much, down to 38 seconds. 1 smoke on Sponge. It remains to be seen where he decides to use it, probably towards that lower ramp. And it looks like this setup, the way that Luminosity is playing this, they'll at least concede the plant and just try and win out from there.
Fur still getting himself into a little bit of a battle, so holding off the rotations for a bit, but it's definitely revealed that the take is rolling down to this site. Fallen actually might be under some pressure as Renegades are being very aggressive, pushing up to Z. Ustila almost grabbing that first kill on a Fallen, but he is able to escape. And in the meantime, Hazard gonna pick up the first one on Taco. 2 committed to the inner bomb site, so not able to fall back, and Renegades get full control. Luminosity, this is gonna be a tough retake if they can even pull it off at all now.
Yeah, a lot of advanced position. That's a big kill. Oh, Fallen. The recovery, and this is falling apart now for Renegades. It looked so good, but now they're just down to 2 players against 4, and Fur is occupying JKS. So it's essentially Ozzer alone, and he's flanking through CT spawn. He's going to come around. Cold does spot him and find that kill. JKS in a 1-on-3 now, and not much left. The kit is on Fur, and he's going to be able to get the defuse. A nice retake from Luminosity, but a good initial push from Renegades, getting down those lanes. They force Fallen back in towards Connector, and that isolates Taco at the upper ramp. So they find the kills they wanted. It's just from there that aggression spreads them out a little bit, maybe a little too overextended towards CT spawn, and they couldn't recover whatsoever. So Luminosity do take the pistol round.
And Luminosity having that early advantage now, but Renegades are going to look for a fairly aggressive response to it in the second round, going for the Tech 9 force up, and a lot of utility being bought up behind that as well. With them getting the plant, they're not going to be looking to save for a usual third round buy, gambling on them getting a second plant here, but instead just focusing on this round, trying to immediately upset against LG. And LG have invested somewhat normally, as you would expect. Fallen going for the scout buy, and the 2 rifles and 2 SMGs beyond this. Further with that same aggressive push from the pistol round, and spots Sponge also in that same position.
That's deja vu. So Renegades lining up just to stop early aggression in these opening 2 rounds. Seems to be just a default setup for them, and they push back for once again, down to about 60. And now where does Renegades line up? Because you're right, they do have a lot of utility. 5 smokes to utilize, 2 Molotovs left still. It could be a pretty brutal attack on the outer bomb site, but FNX would be the first one to make contact. He's got the M4, and if he gets enough kills, if he just gets the first 2, so suddenly the teeth of this attack would be taken out. He has to be careful. 1 jumps across, he's exposed, he's got to fall away. That flashbang might buy him a little bit of time, but he can't fall back too much. Using Fallen to cover him as well.
Fallen going to be the first one to spot a lot of this too, but they're all pushing out from that same angle, so Fallen's going to get a whole load of this. Not only this too, but just look at all the damage that's been done to Renegades. They're still not pushing up. 36 seconds left, but they haven't really made any progress. Some good damage goes into Fur, but Fur himself has picked up a kill for that. Ustila responds by shutting him down, but then Fallen switching over to his pistol finds another pickup onto Hazard, just picking down the remaining health pools of Renegades here, it would seem, and it's going to be Fallen and FNX to claim the final kill on the Ustila.
FNX has such a big impact on that round, not even through the 2 kills that he got, but just spotting that out early and falling back and surviving behind the train. Luminosity is able to use so much utility on that choke point. You saw the nade damage come out, and Renegades, they were so softened up before they even made any progress, and then they just get whittled apart as they try and push forward. So nicely handled from LG. They only lose 1 member in that round, and it's just Glocks for the Renegades side. They do have a flashbang to utilize on Ustilo, but it's got to be a perfect flash because it's all they have. Fur is going to push up, and he's going to try and farm a little bit, and this is going to be perfect for him if he can get up here. It looks like it's going to be a slaughter. They all line up for him. 3 kills quickly. Pistol comes out, and he gets the 4th. Nice play from Fur. 4 kills total in the round.
An absolute shutdown there, but of course, Renegades still not bringing much to the table in terms of gunpowder in that last round, so now they're going to get the AKs into their hands. No op investment, unfortunately, but they'll bring the AKs to the party. Somewhat lower on the utility side of this, not a lot of HEs or Molotovs, mainly just smokes and flashbangs. But still, with the big guns in hands, hopefully they can put up a better fight against LG.
This time they switch things up. They're not going for that default fast pace towards box haulers. They want to control. It's a nice pop flash. Cold just gets away. They do spot 2 members there, so they have an idea that there's a 3rd. But Yam is not ready for the peak from Taco. Molotov to buy Taco time to fall back. Really, really nicely executed aggression from Luminosity.
Also keeping the upper push away, as it did look like Renegades wanted to try and get themselves out onto this B-bomb site very quickly, but it's not going to be possible. JKS looking for a spot jump there as he jumps himself up on top of the railing, but still no one really that far back on the site. Cold Zero is going to move around now, but it looks like Luminosity, who so far have actually been fairly aggressive on this CT side, will hold stalwart on the B-bomb side, and Renegades, after failing to initially pick up any of these kills, are just stuck here.
Yeah, the issue is since they sent everyone they had towards these box halls, they have control of it, but they have control of absolutely nothing else. All Sponge can really do, since he's the only man, is look for a flank. He's not even trying to gain control of anything, so all they have left is this execution towards the inner sight. He still has been spotted out. Fur biding his time by Spindles. He's going to peek out now. They're going to line up for him again. He sprays down 2. Can't get the 3rd, but Taco's there to recover. And Sponge has a tall task to even get the bomb down. He's going to go for more, though. He's going to push up, try and find one more kill. Not able to happen. FNX closes the round out. So another really, really good round for Luminosity. Losing 2, but it's going to be back onto a save for Renegades.
Not going to be able to justify bringing too much to the table this time as of yet. Need to save to try and get something like an op in the hands of Yam. But in the meantime, Luminosity now using the double op setup on their own side here on the CTs. Still going to keep their power going strong, and not a whole lot of hope for Renegades here, as Luminosity have just been masterfully shutting them down. Using a lot of aggressive pushes of their power, too, to spot out some of the early plans from Renegades in terms of what they're trying to do tactically. But this time for the Renegades is a default setup pretty quickly, too, but 2 of them have been revealed by Ivy. The only part of this is which they're really not going to be able to see coming might be the ladder in play, but this should be pretty predictable as well.
Cold's going to keep challenging against this. It's just pistols. Jumping across to find some information. Renegades very, very slow pace. JKS is going to get boosted. Sponges, excuse me. And Deagle, he gets the shot that he wanted, but Fur spots the boost and eliminates both of them. And there's Fallen. The shoulder peek from Yam. He tries to bait out the shot, but Fallen's too quick. Now it's just down to Still and Azure, and there's not much that they can hope to do here. Although they do get that kill on FNX. It's not enough. Not too much damage being dealt. So Luminosity is going to get their 5th. And all the while building up some good money. FNX is going to have to rebuy, but he's got 7,200. Fur's got 6,200 right now, so there's really, really nice economy behind these rounds from Luminosity.
And that often becomes the one thing which allows the T side to take control on a lot of these other North American matchups, is that the CT side economy is so fragile and it never really gets a chance to build itself up. So having this strong of one just within 5 rounds is a great boost for Luminosity to look for a dominating half here to start off and not even give Renegades a chance to bounce back.
6 kills in 5 rounds for the Renegades players, and Yam has the AWP. This time we see him like to go fast-paced towards Terrace Choke and try and pick off towards Connector on the CT side, but this time he didn't have the spawn for it. So he looks for upper aggression. It looks like he's going to get obliged. Jumping over the shot. It's a Luminosity player. That's Fallen, and he's going to push forward, and Yam's not expecting that one. Outplayed by Fallen. Really well done.
Nice passive style of play there too, which is picking up that kill and falling back. You don't need to take any more unnecessary risks.
This is the style of Luminosity. They like looking for that opening kill. They like finding ways to get that early pick on both sides of the map and then just falling back and playing a little bit more passive and picking you apart from there. Not
even necessarily a kill too. When we saw Fur making those 2 aggressive pushes on the 1st and 2nd rounds, as soon as he spotted both of those, Luminosity just went to a much more passive style because they knew there was going to be a hit possibly coming to that site. So they've been good at spotting this early on, getting that early advantage, and then bunkering down to prevent whatever may be thrown their way. And the Renegades still seeming very indecisive after they lose this opening player round after round. Can't seem to exactly nail down exactly what they want to throw at one of these sites, so wasting a lot of time in doing that. Well, this is what the Renegades has opened up this half with, is taking control of box halls. What that does do is pull back a 2nd player on the defense, so it thins out the outer bomb site. But the question is, where do you go from there to have success? Still a lot of flashbangs for the Luminosity side. Fur, you're going to run right into him, but he loses that battle, and there's Sponge as well, the op. And he's going to get a 2nd one on the Cold, so all of a sudden this has worked perfectly in a 4-on-5, and JKS keeps up the aggression, or actually he just gets that pick on Fallen as soon as he peeks. There's some of that trademark pinpoint aim from JKS, and it's just down to Taco. 1-on-3. There's a lot of money still on the Luminosity side, but there's no reason to go for this at the moment. A very, very low percentage chance of winning it, so he's going to save the AWP. Just try and fall back. Not a big chance that Renegades chases this, as they're trying to build up their own economy. And now Taco essentially just trying to hold things down and keep the op in his hands, but the Renegades finally going to be on the board. Unfortunately, still a bit of a ways to go to try and break Luminosity, because they did get that nice economy built up early on here. And Taco with a chance to take down Ustilo, grabs it, and that's all he's going to be happy with now. Falling away, able to drop at least 1 gun, but now the more important goal is going to be self-preservation, which it doesn't look like anybody from the Renegades is even going to be able to challenge that. Nah, even losing a Ustilo there at the end is no good. I mean, that's going to force either a drop or a rebuy, so it's going to deplete the money on at least 3 members of Renegades is going to be pretty low. And now they have that daunting task of stringing rounds together. So op is back in Fallen's hands. Taco, they had been running a double op setup on the Luminosity side, but this time they're going to change things up. They're going to switch to 4 M4s. And
And Yam is back on the AWP as well, despite Sponge having that success. Yam is the AWPer, so he's going to keep that weapon into this round. And he's going to take it over towards Ivy to find a pick. And here's that aggression towards Box Halls.
coldzera, though, actually holds back their Ivy take that they tried to do very early on in the round. A nice nade control that was thrown out there. It's going to hold with Yam and JKS away for a little bit longer, and Cold has actually gone very aggressive once more. Just to the left of this smoke, he's toasted up in an aggressive position, but not being fed anything from the Renegades. He does decide to fall away from this one. Not going to take any more risks just as of yet.
Yeah, it's a play that has a timer on it. When that smoke fades, he's kind of got to fall back, especially because Fallen isn't there to back him up. And he has no bait set up. JK is just spamming for a boost at the moment. And Renegades, once again, taking over Box Halls. They have forced Taco to come over on the rotate. So only 3 members outside, and Cold's going to get aggressive. He wants the information. That's a perfect flashbang. He finds JKS. Going to go for more, though. A little overzealous. Yam finds him, evens things out. 50 seconds left on the clock. That's good information gained, and now Fallen's got an off angle with that AWP right towards Ivy, so Yam's got to be careful.
Wants revenge, but in the meantime, the Renegades are slowly shifting their take over here towards the inner bomb site. Good thing, though, is that Luminosity do have 2 players fully committed to this, where they normally are only going to be looking at one. So both Taco and Fur will be ready for a hit if the Renegades send their 3 remaining players here, and the 4th, too, going to be grouping up in a moment. Yam is coming to assist with his team with the take, but they're really not leaving themselves with a lot of time for this. Look, only 25 seconds left on that clock, and Fur is getting aggressive now in the back halls. He's going to look to shut them down. Good volley, though, actually forces Taco away, so he's not going to be able to stop these players pushing themselves outside of the ramp. They get control of the bomb train for free. Taco going to strike first, picks up a first kill, gets some good damage onto Castillo for the second. Looking for some more, but again, does not want to give his own life away, so falls back to regroup with the other CTs.
Yam's got a big job to do. He's got the AWP on the upper ramp. He's the one who's got to find another kill, and he's going to be challenged by Fallen. He's not ready for it. Oh, Fallen jumps to the left, and Yam finds that kill. So now the retake is on, and there's Taco with the trade. Still good positioning from Renegades, though they don't have a Molotov. That's the unfortunate part, but Yam's got 4 kills. Going for an ace here. Pop flash is going to work, and now he knows Taco's not on the bomb, and he gets it. All 5 kills for Yam. Huge round for him, gets Renegades 2 in a row. And that's big. That's massive, because one more buy for Luminosity, and they're out of money. Even this one, they're going to have a couple players that are a little bit strained.
So Renegades now with a very real chance to get back into this game, and Yam greatly done holding back some more of that aggressive pressure early on in the round and then regrouping with his team to make that take work flawlessly. Luminosity now back in the hot seat, and they'll need to perform here to pick up a 6th round if they want to keep themselves in this match, both economically and in terms of their scoreline.
That's an unfortunate peak. Fallen finds a kill, but these trades are coming out, and finally they go in the way of Luminosity. Renegades being very aggressive. It's all down to Yam. He had 5 kills in the last one. This is going to be more difficult in a 1-on-3. He's even got a flank coming down ladder. Got to be aware. And for now, he's just going to disappear in the smoke. That'll buy him some cover to peek over towards ladder, but you can see Taco's playing it wisely through the X-ray. He's not being overcommitted to it.
Should have just been able to spot one further back there behind the train, but that flank is still alive and well. It's Taco taking his time since he's got the shotgun, but Yam hoping for just some sort of over-aggressive push that he can take advantage of, but only selling his own doom here as he goes below the minute mark. A very fast-paced attempt from the Renegades to take control of the outside side that didn't work, so Yam is left with a lot of time to work with, but it's also a lot of time for them to slowly line up a flank, which he is starting to check for that as he takes very slow control of things. Spotting Cold again. They know how close he is, but he's going to miss that shot, and that spells his own doom. coldzera shuts down, and Luminosity right back in the lead.
Luminosity play that so well. 2 players very, very passive. Taco and Fallen, and Cold just on that ladder, just trying to grab the intel. No one's moving until he spots him. And then they pounce, ensuring they don't lose too many weapons in a 3v1 situation. In Renegades, they can't sustain the buys anymore. They do win 2 in a row, but they don't build up enough money to move forward into this round with any rifles. So they're only on pistols, no armor invested either. Yam with the deagle, gonna find the shot on Defer, it doesn't land. A lot of aggression. 4 members rushing Ivy essentially, and there's a good trade.
Cold picking up that first kill, but he leaves himself out in the open too much here. Now Fallen, though, going to be able to move in and respond. Yam being fed one essentially for free, but look at Fallen just holding this corner like an absolute monster. Picks up 3 kills in that round, and then Fur comes in to assist and finish it off.
And importantly as well, they saved the second AWP. They can transfer that over, so keeping hold of that kind of a defensive setup with 2 ops. It was tough for Renegades to break it earlier on. This time they're going to have to do it with Sponge on a Tech 9 and JKS no utility whatsoever. But back into the buys for Renegades. This time it's going to be a little bit more slow pace, although not towards the inner bomb site. Looks like Ustillo is ready to go, and Cold is going to go for some early information. This is one of the few places that CTs can really have very effective aggression is towards Ivy. And with this op as well, JKS has got to be very, very careful how he's going to approach this, although it looks like he's going to be in a very passive lurking role. All 4 of his teammates towards the inner bomb site. Taco hears footsteps and utility being used, and he still hasn't called for a rotate over just yet, so a lot of faith being placed in him.
Cold, though, now moving out, looking for a pickup on the JKS over here, but he's holding in that corner. Cold, though, realized that's a strong possibility, so it's going to force him out, but Cold misses. Now he's under pressure, but that Molly doing some work. Lightening the load for him to finish him off with the pistol, and now the tank's going to attempt to work its way onto the outer bomb site. Only Taco here. A lot of Luminosity anchored themselves around that A bomb site, so Taco needs to hold, but nicely done by Renegades with that aggressive push. They're able to take down Taco with no negative repercussions. Fallen rotating in, though. Again, just going off here. Picks up 2 kills back-to-back as well. And now it's a 4v2. Luminosity hadn't even rotated in yet, but they're already in rough terms.
1 Molotov for Yam. He's just got to be wary of his flank, and he hasn't checked it quite yet, so Fur could be the X factor. Sponge blind on the bomb train, and there's Cold at the pick, and now Sponge is the one being flanked out. Free kill for Fur. So it was a scary situation for Luminosity, but they still managed it, only losing 1. You could see Renegades, they essentially did have to push to find Taco. They had to eliminate him before the rotation comes in. Fallen got there just in time to have those 2 kills. Gives him an 8th. The plant is going to help Renegades a little bit, but with the losing bonus not being too strong just yet, only 3 rounds, it does look like they'll only be able to invest a little bit. Upgraded pistols, maybe some light armor, but some utility as well. 5 smokes bought up by the Renegade side.
The Renegades, unfortunately, continue to have their own struggles with just keeping their guns in this game, as they now fall behind, and Luminosity will take very swift control of things on this CT side. But for now, it's still a very slow style of setup now. They get themselves to positions very quickly, but it doesn't look like they'll be executing just as of yet. They start to try and throw some smokes and whatnot into the site, but actually, as you can see, Sponge and Azur took some fairly early damage here, and there's an op shot and a T connector. The Seal doesn't even know where he got hit from, but he's very low too. All this early damage done is going to make this take very hard, especially with minimal pistol upgrades and not even any armor behind it too. And there you go, it's just an absolute shutdown. Fallen takes down Yam before he can even eliminate him, and Fur's going to pick up the final kill onto Azur.
Yeah, Luminosity playing very, very passive behind the smoke, not trying to overextend into it. Just letting Renegades come to them, and they slaughter them as they appear through the smokes. So no success that round for Renegades. Now you imagine Sponge more than likely dropping an AWP over to Yam, trading it out for an AK-47 so they can both have armor. Actually, we're going to have a pause here. So Renegades want to talk things over before this gets too out of control. This is a pretty important buy round for them. They haven't had too much success in their eco, so it's you know, the money's building up for the CT side. They have to find some way to at least deal some damage, inflict some of that. If they can break the economy, I mean, there's not a whole lot of rounds left. There's only 4 rounds left in this half, so they'd essentially have to just go on a big streak here if they're going to break that economy. And if they do that, I mean, they're more than likely going to get up towards 9-6, but that just seems very far-fetched at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it just needs to be a win out from this point forward. You would think from the Renegades too on their T side, if we don't see any strength whatsoever coming in on the second half, then like it needs to start immediately too with the path that the Luminosity players are currently moving themselves towards. They're possibly looking at 11 for half, and that's just not going to work on a map like this. Train normally, especially in the North American matches, we see much closer games here. So if we see a dominating half in the favor of Luminosity, I just don't think that the Renegades are going to have a chance to bounce back in the second half.
Yeah, this is a very difficult spot for them to be in, and a big part of it too is Fallen with the op. I mean, we know how good he is with it. We know how much impact he can have, but there's good decision making behind the op as well. His rotations have been very timely, just to get a couple crucial kills. He hasn't exploded and had any kind of 4-kill round. Like we saw Yam have that ace. He hasn't done anything like super crazy, but just, you know, those 1 or 2 kills are just such a huge impact on how these rounds have played out. He's been a huge player for this team as well. I mean, with Fallen's impact, it's Cold with 12 kills as well. Fallen's got 12, and then Fur has 14. We've seen a couple very nice rounds from Fur. So it's seeing a lot of good information gathering plays in the mid rounds from LG, and it's just it's just shutting down everything Renegades wants to do.
It's also just slowing them down as well. We see like Renegades go into a round and they have a very decisive strategy about how they want to play it. But almost every single round we see Luminosity moving out, picking up 1 kill, or at the very least spotting the play that the Renegades were going to try and make, and then all of a sudden there's all this doubt that happens for the Renegades. They slow it down, they want to wait the timer down, and then that leads to so much doubt, and when they actually go for the execute, most of the time it fails because Luminosity have gotten the red on it by that point.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for Renegades to be in. They have gotten bogged down. A lot of that, though, is an economic advantage for Luminosity. Now that the losing bonus is built up for the Renegade side, it should lessen a little bit, and the pause has been canceled, so we're going to get back into the game as it goes back live. It is 9-2 for Luminosity, 4 rounds left in this half to see what Renegades can bring to the table moving forward.
And of course, the full buy does bring the usual buys to the table here for the Renegades. Yam, unfortunately not able to bring too much utility behind his op, but beyond this, it's what you would expect here. He's going to be very aggressive, though. Tries to go inside a ladder room, but Fur dominates both Yam and Azur as he attempted to push down to assist his teammate. Cold has been met with quite a few bullets in his direction, but that doesn't even matter since he's brought it down to the 5v3, and he still looks like he wants to stick around and maybe look for a kill if he can.
He might just do it. Flashbang is going to blind him completely, though, and that's a little bit worrying, but this takes courage. And he's still looking the wrong way. Oh, the no-scope, and he gets away again. Nicely done from Cold. Renegades has got to just wonder what happened to them. First shuts things down, and then Cold just styles on Justillo. So JKS and Sponge, the only 2 remaining members of Renegades, and they have no control anywhere. They're both above ladder. They at least have the bomb, but it's highly doubtful they want to challenge against FNX, who they know that Luminosity just had a play down there. So there's the pop flash. FNX isn't even going to challenge for it. Makes him think it's clear. Grabs the angle, and Sponge falls just down to JKS. And it looks like he wants to test his chances, and he just gets completely blind. So
Flashbang's just not serving the Renegades very well in that one, unfortunately, as it starts off there with Fur picking up 2 kills, and then a little bit later on, one that they toss over in the direction of Cold ends up not working out so well, and then one to end it there against their last player left alive. So 10-2, Luminosity now in double digits, starting to stack up a fairly dangerous amount of money again too on essentially everybody except for Taco. But for the Renegades now, they can't afford to save, as you can see. They're going to go for another force buy. Unfortunately, not able to bring too much utility to the table, but the only downgrade we'll see away from an AK is going to be Sponge on a Galil.
And Azur is going to be the first one to fall. These opening battles are just dominated by Luminosity. Renegades not finding success early on in these rounds. The most success they've had is actually just taking control of box halls. Not necessarily even punishing anything, but just taking control of it and forcing a rotation. And now this is kind of where this half has gone. Renegades seem very unlikely to be wanting to challenge this outer bomb site, so it's been a lot of pressure towards Taco on inner. And that Molotov, you could see Justillo wanted to jump down, but he says, screw it, not jumping into fire. Now the rotation is on for LG because they've cleaned out the outer bomb site.
This is another thing, too, that for Luminosity has been almost flawless so far on the CT side. It's just their utility usage in general. Molly to stop a lot of these pushes and smokes as well to prohibit a lot of them. So Taco's going to start things off with the first kill here on the inner hit, but JKS responds with his own kill. And Taco down very low after not spotting that player behind the first train. Fallen, though, picking up another one after they lose Taco as he eliminates Justillo. So the same problem as we've seen in a lot of rounds. It's left to one man to clutch it out on the side of Renegades as JKS has picked up a first kill, grabbing a second with an FNX peeks out to prevent disaster, as he will clutch things out for Luminosity and give them an 11th round.
A really nice retake from Luminosity. In that 3-1, JKS gets a couple kills. He had 4 kills in the round, so almost able to grab the ace there at the end, but fighting in the Molotov. That second kill took a little bit longer than he would have liked to get it. He had to spray for it, and that allowed the trade from Luminosity to be very efficient. So dominant first half so far from LG. Plant, again, is going to help Renegades get more AK-47s, get more utility into this round, but unfortunately they're not going to have an AWP, which, when Yam had it, I mean, wasn't necessarily impactful on a consistent basis, but it is one of the rounds he won was when he had a 5-kill with it. All 5 went his way.
So it's that same setup again from the Renegades, looking for the default. A lot lighter, actually, on the ladder room and Ivy push, however. Only sending 1 man in that direction. They have 3 this time, sitting outside a T connector, so might be much more of a solidified push this time. However, Ivy's being prohibited because they got aggressive here again. It's Cold and Fallen that moved out and smoked it pretty aggressively, too, just to prevent anybody from Renegades on using that. It does look like JKS may want to fight back, but more than likely he's actually just making sure no one decides to push outside of that smoke, and they're even going to re-smoke it, too, so they do not want to let Renegades hold control and be able to successfully set up this default.
Yeah, but look at all the time this is running down off the clock. 1 minute and 10 seconds left, and still not cleared out. Now, if they do eventually progress this way towards Ivy, which doesn't look like they are going to definitely clear out where Cold is. Fallen's there for a little bit of a bait, but Renegades look like they want to bypass this pressure, almost execute towards the outer site, and just deal with it when they have to rotate back. But as I say that, Yam, he's going to push up. He's only got a smoke, and he's going to be the first one. Pop flash comes out, Fallen's blind. He's got to follow away. Cold still here, though, and Yam chases it down. He does get the kill. Cold a little bit slow on pulling the trigger, so 2 kills for Renegades. They force back that pressure, but 35 seconds left on the clock. Their options are dwindling.
And also, Luminosity just pulling away from the B-bomb site completely. Taco's fallen all the way back. He's sitting inside of Z now, so he's ready to move into the A-bomb site in the event there's a hit. FNX, a big task to do, though. He cannot get taken down in the first blow, and almost hits that kill into Azure, but unfortunately misses it completely, so JKS is going to be able to take him down. Now, there's only one man in this site really to defend it, and that's Fur. He's looking for a kill at far. JKS again picking up some frags here, but Taco has...
Imagine there's going to be a plan for this, and he's going to get aggressive towards inner. He knows they've been coming here very quickly, grabs the off angle, gets the first kill, finds the second one-on-one that he wanted, but Azure, yeah, that's a good round from Renegades. I mean, just taking care of that pressure towards Ivy was so nicely done from them. The pot flash blind's fallen completely, so good awareness from them. But you could see FNX and even Fur put themselves in very solid positions to turn that round into their favor very quickly, just not able to convert the kills. Now into this last round, Taco's going to be on a mag 7, but there was plenty of money on some of his teammates to drop him an M4, so you got to imagine there's going to be a plan for this, and he's going to get aggressive towards inner. He knows they've been coming here very quickly, grabs the off angle, gets the first kill, finds the second one-on-one that he wanted, but Azure eliminates him before he could get a second shot with a shotgun.
Now Luminosity all committed to this A-bomb site too. Renegades, though, going to have to try and get the read on this and switch their hit over to a B play. If they want to try and find their way in with a lot less conflict. It doesn't look like that'll be the case, but Fur jumping up again, mainly just looking for the intel as it would appear right now. Trying to hang around and see if anybody else will get aggressive, but that's not the case. And it'll escape just with a little bit of damage on Yam, and the intel that the bomb was actually shifting its way through white holes a moment ago.
Now, we mentioned those information gathering plays out of Luminosity again, finding a key piece of intel to figure out this round, although they haven't rotated anyone inside just yet. You got to imagine from here, Fur and FNX are close up, maybe halfway forward of that outer yard. It's going to be a fake. Azure is going to come towards the inner site where it's just cold Zera. They're trying to pull defense towards the inner bomb site so that Yam can come down ladder and they can hit this outer site, but it's not going to work. Because Cold sees nothing. There's one kill for Fur. Sponge trades him off, but he's dinked. He's very, very low. He's got to allow aggression to come elsewhere. Although he gets on top of the trade, and he might even find a third kill. Cold finally finishes him off. Fallen's in a tough spot, though. He gets cleaned out, and there it is. The rotation from the inner site. Nice flash as well to slow down JKS. Would
have been perfect if Cold was in a better position to peek out, but JKS will escape for the time being, slowly wrapping around. I don't think Cold expects it. That flashbang could throw him off completely, but no, he's looking in the right direction, spots him. So both players are going to be kept alive. JKS, though, is on a timer, needs to plan, and that smoke just thrown way too early out. So Cold Zera is going to clutch it, and it'll be a 12-3 half for Luminosity.
Yeah, a dominant half from Luminosity in pretty much every facet. They out-opt. They gathered more information. The aggression early on all went in the way of Luminosity as well, so really no area of the game where you could say that Renegades bested LG here. So a tough match for Renegades, but they do switch over to what we would consider the easier side of this map. But it's got to be a quick start. They don't have very many mistakes to give up in the early portions. Actually, the half in general, but definitely early on. They have to be able to build up some money. Because if Luminosity breaks their economy even once early on, they can just run away with this.
And essentially everybody on Luminosity, too, stepping up to the plate for this matchup here. Not one player really out of the mix as far as the scores are concerned. Seeing some good plays from essentially every single player, and it's those early round plays that give them all the intel, or in most cases actually a kill or two, to give them an advantage over Luminosity, or to give them an advantage over the Renegades. That's really just making some of these rounds a clean sweep for Luminosity and allowing them to take such a hefty lead coming out of that first half. So Renegades on very, very thin ice. If they can win this pistol round, they will have a small chance to get back into this game. But if Luminosity takes it, we don't see an immediate response on round number 2, then it might as well be GG.
Luminosity sending 2 out towards Ivy, 3, and oh, look at this aggression from our Renegades. Hold that thought. And there's a good kill from Taco, and Fallen as well. Ozer's here to try and even things out, but he can't land that headshot. Fallen gets 2 kills. Renegades put a lot of eggs in that basket, that push towards Ivy, and it doesn't work out. FNX showing some style points, but isn't clear beneath him. I thought he saw him, did he not? JKS doesn't see him either. Oh, what a flick. There's a good recovery from an awkward situation.
So with that said, Renegades and JKS is back into the game now, trying to get himself out into the site. The bomb's been planted, but Fallen just flanks around him there. And unfortunately for Renegades, they did have that flank working against them. Had that not been something they would have had to deal with, then they might have had a better chance to push out and take back control of the bomb site. But unfortunately, it's not the case, and Luminosity will take control of this pistol round. Renegades don't really have a choice I would expect them to force up here, but I actually think they're just going to save one more and then force up on round number 3 instead.
Yeah, we don't see it too often anymore with how powerful pistols are, but maybe just saying, okay, Luminosity is going to get up towards 14 more than likely. Let's go into the next round and see. We can at least have some FAMASs out. We can at least have a little bit of rifles, a little bit of firepower to counteract this instead of relying on the pistols. Some early damage done to Ustillo. Luminosity now, they've seen enough. FNX is going to be the aggressor, and he finds a long-range kill with the help from Fur, and he's going to get a second one as well. No armor on the Renegades players makes this SMG so damaging, and even going for a third, he's going to find that very casual. And it's all LG. No kills come out for Renegades.
Expected, though, for this round, though, with Renegades, again, having the light investment. So now we should see the force coming in. As if they wait, then that's going to be a 12-round run that they need to do in a row. And actually, no, they're not going to. They're going to save up for that first gun round, which is a huge risk to be taken.
Yes. I mean, the likelihood of them making a comeback in general is a little bit low, so maybe they're just saying we need to win, and we need to win very, very strong our first time around, so let's get the rifles and see if we can dominate it that way. But I think LG is going to be very surprised these past rounds. They're only going up against pistols with no armor. He's still trying to flank. I think Cold spotted that. He's going to come down either way at the MAC 10. So it's all going to be on to the next round for Renegades. They've got to win 12 straight to bring this into overtime, not even to win the match, but putting a lot of faith in their rifles, not going for something earlier on.
The other thing here, too, is just like we saw in that last half, is you, to a certain degree, you allow Luminosity to stack up a fairly healthy bank within these early rounds, especially when you look at what happened in the second round. The third round, of course, they get a couple trade kills here and there, but for the most part, Luminosity are actually sitting pretty furs at 8K now after these first couple of rounds. So even if you do win this first gun round, Luminosity are just going to immediately buy back into it, whereas if you had upset on the second or third rounds, they might have had to make a choice to save, and you could have gotten a couple more for free first.
2 ops for the LG side into this round. Sponge. He's going to make first contact. Spots out one. Now, Ozer's that's a nice pop flash. Fur's completely blind, but Ozer didn't immediately find it. Does recover enough to get that kill, so denies that control for Luminosity. 2 members for LG out towards Ivy, 2 above ladder. Minute and 20 seconds left on the clock, and they've got to find some success somewhere to peel apart this defense.
Very, very split from LG, though, and Renegades are stalwart on holding this A-bomb site, only keeping Yam to the inner site. And Yam's not able to spot this pressure coming in from Taco and Cold just as of yet, but this Cold peeks around the corner, shuts down Yam. And we'll now see if that pulls anyone from the Renegades in, because keep in mind, that bomb is still way outside the A-bomb site over towards Ivy.
Oh, and JKS gets legged.
They actually might... No, it looks like they're still pushing the bomb in towards A. I was going to say they might fall it back and move it around since...
Well, they've put enough pressure on inner to force a rotate. You can see even Ozer is cheating over. Even a third player is going to be in connector, so Ustillo is now the only one left with something to do. And they're going to be coming from behind him. They're not even coming from the T-choke, and Taco's still going to apply pressure. He spots 2. He knows at least 2 are at the inner bomb site, so he can play a little bit more passive. It actually deals massive damage to the smoke. Sponge does clean him out. Now Renegades should know what's happening. But it's going to be all on Cold. This duel between him and Ustillo, and is the timing going to work in Ustillo's favor? It is, but Cold wins it anyways. And now it's just low HP.
FNX picked up another kill into Azar. So JKS and Sponge, also no utility between those final 2, and Sponge just going to walk right into the crosshairs of Cold's era. So JKS will try to clutch it out here, but more than likely, this is going to be it, guys. Luminosity will take the first map against Renegades, their first map of 3 needed to solidify their position at the ESL Pro League Finals. And for the Renegades, their own chances of qualifying for the LAN have just gone down by a very large degree.
Yes, a very dominant win. Textbook Luminosity play to that 16-3 win. That was sick stuff from them. That last round especially is just, that is fundamentally a very strong round out of them to pull apart the defense, get that 1 kill, and then just mess with the rotations back and forth and find the openings that you need, and then just some stellar individual play on top of all of that. So dominant looking LG. They're going to have a rematch between these 2 teams when we get back from the break. That'll be the 4th of our 6 matches tonight, and that will be after we return. So we are going to just go away for a little bit and then stay tuned, and we'll be right back.